Greetings, Shining Bulls and Shining Bears, and welcome to the 33rd episode of the Crypto Astrology Podcast. Please note that financial astrology, similar to technical analysis, is not 100%. I, Maya Raghavan, am not an influencer. I am not a financial advisor. Rather, I am a financial astrologer, using the planetary positions as data inputs in my analysis of the probable nature of price movements. I do not make your decisions for you. Your decisions are up to you. Shining Bull content is here to stimulate your own thought process as you make your own decisions relating to your own finances for yourself and by yourself. We are going to take a look at what this week holds for Bitcoin and Ether price. But first, please always feel welcome to check out the Shining Bull website, where I have all kinds of offerings for all suns. I have a trading signal service for day traders, giving you real-time signals to your email. And also at the beginning of the day, all the time frames for the day, a weekly forecast for both swing and day traders that gives you all the important bullish and bearish time frames, and also important price points for resistance and support for Bitcoin and Ether for the whole week. And I also have special and valuable predictive books. I especially recommend right now my Bitcoin by 2026 and my Ethereum by 2026 books, as this is an important time to understand what the coming years will bring for Bitcoin and Ether, and these books are valuable. And if nothing is within your price range, then just get notifications for this podcast, as I give a lot of info out here for free. And also find me on Farcaster and on friend.tech, and of course on Twitter. Now let's look at this week in Bitcoin and Ether price. I, the astrologer, live in Newfoundland, but I give the weekly predictions that I make on this podcast as per UTC time. So, by the way, listen through, because there's some interesting stuff happening that I talk about right here in the day-to-day, and then in the news item I'll tell you a little bit more, because this is going to be a very big week. Sunday UTC, Sunday, December 24th. In the very early morning, a new steady upward movement initiates when Moon enters Aquarius in the Navamsha, where Saturn transits in the sky. In the morning, a drop is likely to initiate when Moon joins Mars and Rahu in Pisces in the Navamsha. In the afternoon, a price climb initiates when Moon enters Rohini Nakshatra. In the late afternoon, an important process regarding trading products begins as Sun in Sagittarius enters into a trine to Vakri Jupiter in Aries. At night, the future of financial markets concerning trading products starts undergoing fundamental changes due to Jupiter retrograding into Saturn's third drishti. Late in the evening, an understanding emerges, likely boosting prices, when Moon joins Vakri Budh in Taurus, that's Mercury, Budh, in the Navamsha. Monday UTC, Monday, December 25th. Just after midnight, Venus enters Scorpio, and influential women in finance begin shaping the future of Bitcoin and Ethereum. In the very early morning, a new move initiates, possibly related to ETF filings, sending prices up when Mercury retrogrades into the Aries pada of Mula. In the late afternoon, the price action consolidates or changes direction when Moon enters Mrigashira. In the evening, a sudden new movement happens, and I predict it is a drop when Moon enters into a trine to Ketu. Not long afterwards, a price reversal initiates, with prices starting to head up when Moon enters into opposition to Mars. Late at night, the price climb becomes more evident when Moon joins Ketu in Virgo in the Navamsha. Tuesday UTC, Tuesday, December 26th. Just after midnight, Ethereum receives support from Some influential women in finance around the world, as Venus starts transiting Ethereum's natal Saturn. In the very early morning, an upward movement initiates when Moon reaches an exact opposition to Mars. Still in the early morning, a drop initiates when Moon enters Gemini into opposition to retrograding Mercury. In the morning, positive developments occur regarding administrative approval of crypto-related financial products when Sun enters the Cancer Pada of Mula, and prices start climbing when Moon reaches an exact opposition to Vakri Budh. In the early afternoon, I see a significant amount of buying of Bitcoin and Ether begins as the Moon enters into a trine to Saturn at night. And so basically what I see Tuesday, beginning in the morning UTC, is that people may likely understand something that's going to become official or understood officially on Wednesday afternoon. So I see a lot of buying pressure starting on Tuesday in the early afternoon. Then at night on Tuesday, a reversal of the existing direction is likely when Moon reaches an exact trine to Saturn. Wednesday UTC, Wednesday the 27th of December. In the early morning, an upward movement initiates when the Moon enters Aquarius in the Navamsha where Saturn transits in the sky. Around noon, a drop initiates when Moon joins Mars and Rahu in Pisces in the Navamsha. In the afternoon, a decision related to crypto ETF filings is being reached when Sun reaches an exact trine to Vakri Jupiter. In the evening, price starts climbing, looking bullish for Bitcoin and Ether on the daily chart. When Moon enters Punarvasu, joining Vakri Mercury in Aries in the Navamsha. Thursday UTC, Thursday, December 28th. Just after midnight, a potentially violent upward movement initiates when Mars and Vakri Mercury reach each other. Around noon, a drop initiates when Moon reaches Vakri Mercury's cuspal degree. In the early afternoon, a reversal begins when Moon enters Cancer. In the afternoon, an upward movement initiates when Moon enters into a trine to Venus. Friday UTC, Friday, December 29th. In the very early morning, a drop can occur when Moon joins Ketu in Virgo in the Navamsha. In the early morning, price starts climbing when Moon enters into a Kendra to Vakri Jupiter. At night, a climb initiates when Moon enters Ashlesha Nakshatra. Saturday UTC, Saturday, December 30th. In the very early morning, a drop starts when Moon enters the Capricorn Pada of Ashlesha. In the morning, a climb begins then when Moon enters Aquarius in the Navamsha, where Saturn transits in the sky. But then, around noon, a drop begins when Moon enters into trine to Rahu. And in the early evening, a drop begins again when Moon joins Vakri, Mercury, and Rahu in Pisces in the Navamsha. So it looks like Saturday, the second half of the day, starting around noon, there's a drop that could be serious, relatively speaking. Like, what I mean is people taking profits, but it's not going to be huge, okay? But it can be important, relatively speaking, within the week, definitely. So please read the disclaimer section in the details below. So that was the weekly forecast for the week ahead in Bitcoin and Ether price. Remember to check out ShiningBull.com for real-time trading signals, weekly forecasts with price points and important and bullish and bearish time frames, and also the trading signals also give you the time frames for every day in advance. as well as in real time one by one. And then of course the predictive books that I have, which show you how the astrology will define the larger price cycles. As mentioned, now is a great time to get my Bitcoin by 2026 and Ethereum by 2026 books if you don't already have them, as well as the Cosmic Guide to Ethereum Layer 2 Solutions, which covers Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon Matic, Starknet, and ZK Sync, and the book Bitcoin Countries for those of you who hold Bitcoin. It's quite a valuable book. I really recommend reading this book right now for those of you who hold Bitcoin. It's pretty important to read that book. Okay, so now let's talk about some news items from the past week. This past Monday, BlackRock and ARK filed amendments to their spot Bitcoin ETF filings, agreeing to the cash create redemption model favored by the SEC. The cash create model can technically introduce more volatility into Bitcoin price at moments when funds need to buy or sell Bitcoin in order to create or redeem shares. In this model, the individual funds, as opposed to their authorized participants, need to be the ones who buy and sell Bitcoin to handle cash inflows and outflows to and from the ETF. This creates immediate market transactions, and the timing and size of those transactions can directly impact Bitcoin's market price because they have to happen in the moment, as opposed to if one of the authorized participants, which for example would be something like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs for BlackRock, I believe, if they were, if it was on their side instead of on the fund side, it would be more stable because they might already have a steady amount of holdings, in this case for the underlying asset for Bitcoin. So when there were a lot of inflows and outflows, it would not create a situation where suddenly a lot of Bitcoin is being bought or a lot of Bitcoin is being sold. And furthermore, it creates a bit more of a competitive situation between the funds because now the funds themselves have to be taking care of that, which requires technical knowledge. And so there can be some funds that have more or less knowledge or ability to carry that out swiftly. So anyway, but that aside, astrologically speaking, this happened when Mercury was retrograding in trine, in a basically exact trine. That was when Mercury passed exact trine to Jupiter in the sky, retrograding. And the reason that I see that this week itself we may get a sudden ETF approval is because Sun is going to enter into that same zone of trine to Jupiter this week, reaching an exact trine to Jupiter this Wednesday. Mercury is the one who does the accounting, and retrograde means revision. So when he retrograded in trine to Jupiter this past week, the funds revised their filings and a new type of accounting was decided on, i.e. the cash create redemption model. Jupiter, by the way, is transiting in a specific area of the zodiac, which is related to trading, in the most action-oriented pada of the playful nakshatra called Ashwini. Sun is administrators, the leaders. So when Sun transits the same zone, that same topic of the ETFs will be addressed again, this time by the administrators. In this case, that's the SEC, but something similar is likely happening in other countries right now too. For example, I just saw on crypto Twitter something about Bitcoin spot ETFs in Hong Kong. So basically, what I'm saying is be ready for perhaps an extra happy holiday season, as I predict that we are in for ETF approval this week itself. So thank you, and I will see you next week.